Are we live? All right. We're live. It's Sunday night. What's happening, guys and girls and in-betweens? You're all welcome here. Who we got in the house? Oh, wow, we got a lot of people hanging here already. Mexican Spec, what's happening, brother? Danny Boyd, Scoop. Travis Moore, what's happening? Look at that carb. What carb? Oh, I don't know what thumbnail it is. Kathy Pixtos. Although we don't call her Kathy anymore. Her new name is Twisty McSprinkles. With McSparkles. Twisty McSparkles.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, that's it.
The bringer of orange juice.
Here.
Rich and cream in a glass. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. She's good. She puts all of my liquids in containers, which I think is fantastic. Thank you. And there she goes. Let's see. Put money in me, man. Okay, wait. Let me just skip ahead here. I've said hello to a bunch of you. Andrea Alvarez. Mike, how's the new puppy? Yeah, the razor, the little needle teeth. She's going berserk. She's very painful to be around. But man, she's awesome. And the other girls have all like just they've adopted her. She's only here for a week. She's already just in like general population, and they're all looking out for her. So it's working out really well. Hey, sweaty fat guy, what's happening, brother man? Stephen Green is coming to us from Cebu, the Philippines. Excellent. See, we got a global reach. The UTG nation. Speaking of which, I found out last week on the Wednesday night show, we played a song from an old friend of mine, Terrible Tim, who don't look up any of his stuff if you're sitting there with your family or anything, right? He was a musician. They used to play at my coffee places in New York, and we were friends. I just found out he died. So yeah, farewell, Terrible Tim. Josh Holman, yes, spring back, fall forward is strange. Never heard it before. Usually the other way around. I only know is we changed the time, and now we all have to readjust to this nonsense messing with the clocks. Please, Dragon Dog from Central Nebraska. What's happening, brother? Let's see. Joker saying, sorry, Tony. I don't think I'm into motorcycles as I am cars. That said, I didn't watch your video yet. Well, you don't have to watch every video. Just click on the ones that may interest you. It's fine. Fubar's in the house. Fubar just put the link to my No, I'm not drunk. I don't drink. I just sometimes when I go to talk, like slurred gibberish comes out. So Fubar just put the link to my merch, our shirts, our hats, stickers, and other things that I'm not even aware of, to be honest with you. Because Kathy Bananas or Twisty McSparkles, her new name. She handles all that stuff. So there's the link. Fubar put it up. UncleTony'sGarage.com, and yes, thank you in advance for whatever you bought or buy or are going to. Eric Halverson. Ironically, I was just watching a video from the famous YouTuber UTG when this live stream popped up. Lucky you. Hey, Barrows, what's happening, brother? Sweaty fat guy is saying, Tony, I'm not getting a bike because I've lost too many friends on them, and the money I would spend on them needs to go to the cars I built. It's also why I don't fly RC anymore. I mean, listen, I know it's not for everybody. I know lots of people who die on the damn things. And like I talked about in the video, it's like almost every time. Yes, if the driver does this, the driver does that, but it's the motorcycle underestimating dangers, underestimating their or overestimating their abilities or reflexes, not paying attention for a little bit, just generally going too fast for conditions or situations. It's usually the biker's fault. almost always. You learn to ride with your head. And I know this because I crashed so many times going over my head and beyond my skill level. One of the things, if you want to ride motorcycles for a long time, okay, you never overestimate your skill level. I know what my skill levels are. I am not an athlete. It's that simple. And so I always err on the side of caution, like real caution. And most people don't. They're just like, wee, poof. You know what I mean? And you can go easy, man. You can go easy. You can still enjoy all of the stuff that goes with motorcycling. You never have to hit the road. Like I said in that video, go get a dirt bike, go get an enduro or something, and just ride trails. It's awesome. Let's see. Rocco, how's it going, Rocco? Tony, you mentioned in your long video that the one engine had really good throttle response, the blue engine. And it wasn't me that said it. It was the guys who were in the dyno room. The three of them were standing around, no exaggeration. I didn't want to take clips from anybody else's video, right? But you could find it. It's in the dyno test of that blue 413. And they're standing in the dyno room, and they're all taking turns, no exaggeration. They're all taking turns going, whim, whim, and the motor just jumps up and settles back down to a perfect idle. And they're all giggling like little schoolgirls because it's so amazingly good. So it's like, if this was my observation, it was their observation, and I was just relating it in my video. What drives up besides air fuel ratio and distributor curve? Air fuel ratio doesn't really matter when it comes to off idle throttle response. Air fuel ratio is more of a steady state thing, because when you're going off idle, you're dealing with the accelerator pumps. So air fuel ratio is more of a steady speed type of thing. Distributor curve has a lot to do with it. You want as much initial advance as practical and a super fast curve. So as soon as you touch the throttle, it starts advancing. That has a lot to do with it. But mostly it's just a happy combination. A really happy combination will do that. It just snaps when you open the throttle. And then there's EBG, Uncle Buck's Garage. Oh, God. Yeah, I've seen Uncle Buck. Let me turn this down a little bit. I've seen Uncle Buck. Tell Uncle Buck I said hello. Okay, let's see. Alpha Dylan. Thank you for the super chat, Alpha. Dylan. When going to a retro roller cam, is it necessary to swap the entire valve train? Is there a difference between roller and flat tappet valve train? So the dimensions that you're given when you go to a retro roller or any cam is going to be based on the factory rocker ratio. So if factory had 1.5 or 1.6 rockers, that's the lift number that you're going to get, the advertised lift number. You can maintain the stock valve train. It just depends. So if you're going with let me read this question. Is there a difference between roller and flat tappet valve train? No, flat tappet to flat tappet, you really shouldn't have to, unless there's a significant difference in lifter height that's going to require a shorter push rod. But if they're designed as retro, meaning it's supposed to be swapped into your engine with minimal changes otherwise, then no, just drop it in and send it. Rockham, you meet the nicest EMTs on Hondas. Dude, I have the greatest respect for EMTs. Whenever I run into one, if we're you're getting coffee someplace and there's EMTs, or you go to a place and they're eating or whatever, I always pick up the bill. Well, I'm so grateful to EMTs. Yeah, and they're the few people who really take care of you when you're splattered. You know what I'm saying? The hospital, they don't like you in the hospital. They roll you into an emergency room. From a motorcycle crash, they announce it as they're bringing you in. That this was a motorcycle crash. And yes, I have had the organ donor, name applied to me officially in person. Okay. But the EMTs don't pass judgment. All they know is that, you know, you're jacked up and you need to be taken care of, and those are the guys that do it. So, like I said, whenever I run into one in the wild, I buy them their coffee, I buy them their soda, I buy them lunch, I buy whatever, because those guys are really out there taking care of you. Let's see. Todd Daniel, I finally decided to get rid of my bike. It had been sitting unused and taking up space in the garage since 1985. Wow, just 41 years. Was there anything left of it? Oh, man. Well, so now you watch that video. Maybe you go get another one. Mopar Den. Have you ever owned or dabbled in diesels? I may have owned a diesel. No. I've never owned a diesel. The only consistent like diesel work I ever did was back when I was a kid in the middle 80s, and it was literally converting diesel Oldsmobiles to gasoline engines, because after people would live for the diesel for a short period of time, they were like, no, I don't want to deal with this. So yeah, I did several diesel to gasoline conversions on then relatively new cars, you know, then at the time. But that's as far as I've ever gone with them. I'm just not a diesel guy. I'm just not a diesel guy. Fritz Frizzle, can you do more fuel economy videos because gas prices are getting high? You know, you go back about 5 years ago, gas prices were 4 years ago, thereabouts, gas prices were up there. And we started doing some fuel economy videos and they were getting views. But then gas prices came down, and it's like, so now they're up. But how long are they going to stay up for? I don't know. If it stays consistent, like here, okay, 3 days ago, I gassed up at 220 something, like 225 a gallon. Yesterday, I topped off the tank in one of the vehicles at $3 a gallon. Today, I just put gas in my Jeep at $3.30 a gallon. So right through the roof. But how long is it going to stay there? You know, I don't want to start looking at fuel economy and stuff like that only for the, you know what I mean? The numbers come down next week and that video just has no life. So, let's see. Well, Eric Wilson, my experience on motorcycles, cars pull out in front of me almost every time I come to an intersection. It's like nobody seems to know right of way these days. Absolutely. So one of the things that I'm going to do, I know you car guys really don't care about this stuff, but some of you might. One of the things I'm definitely going to do, and I'm going to do it soon, okay, like maybe next week, is I'm going to put a camera on my head, on my helmet, okay? And I'm going to go through traffic, normal everyday traffic, okay? And I'm going to call everything I see and everything that I'm going to react to, which is something I've never seen anybody do, right? Like they'll do like situations, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, they'll show you what to do if somebody's going to pull out or whatever, but it's always staged. And what I want to do is actually put the helmet, put a camera on, wear the camera, and actually run around through town, like make a lap of my city through all the high traffic areas and explain all of my strategies and all of the moves that I'm going to make as I make them, right? So I think that could be a very valuable thing for like a new rider to watch. But yeah, absolutely, I'm down with that. Rocco saying, please do not censor that video. I'll pay to hear it unfiltered. Dude, I'm one of those people. I don't get upset. I just don't. You know, if somebody pulls a bonehead move in front of me, it just doesn't faze me. HSIV8. Do you think the cast iron big block 516 heads can work good on a street car or bracket car? Yes, they're great heads. Don't let that 1.6 exhaust valve fool you. A lot of people are like, oh, it needs a 1.74 exhaust valve to be worth anything, right? That's bullshit. Okay. It all has. Think of LS motors. Okay, the 5.3 LS. Nobody ever doubts its ability to make power, right? Correct. It has a 1.6 exhaust valve. The bigger exhaust valve really only counts when you've gotten to the 440 or even 400 bore size, right? 4.34, 4.36 and larger. The 1.6 will flow enough to pass 400 cubic inches worth of engine at 6,500 RPM, 7,000 RPM. Don't let that 1.74 valve steer you in, and so you've got the 67,440 head, which is literally, that's the 915 head, which is literally the 516 head with a 1.74 exhaust valve. It's the only functional difference between the two of them. So if you're dealing with a big bore engine, a larger bore engine, drop the 174s in there. If it's a 4.25 bore engine, like a 3D3, or 413, any of those engines, that 1.6 is more than enough. Let's see. I'm going to scroll back up here. Joe Camucci, you should watch Crash Test Goat video. He goes 180 miles an hour through traffic, make you grit your teeth just watching. Well, he's an asshole. He's an asshole. I have no respect for those people. There's a lot of people in the sport bike world, and I've owned many sport bikes. I love sport bikes. Don't currently have one. Probably won't get another. Okay, but I've had more than my share of sport bike experiences. I have no respect for these YouTubers that just go do stupid shit out in traffic. It's just dumb, and it's you get these young impressionable kids, 17, 18, 19 years old. They got more testosterone than brains, and they're like, "Oh, if he can do it, I can do it." And yeah, no, that's just freaking suicide fucking mission shit. Okay, I'm scrolling back up here. Dragon Dog loves the idea of the helmet, the camera helmet. Yeah, I'm going to do that. There's so many motorcycle YouTubers. That's all they do. They put a friggin', and I really hate those videos. I click off of those videos because they just, all you've seen is the handlebars and the gauges of the bike and the road and everything, and they got to be yapping out about it, what he had for lunch, and it's like, well, I don't want to hear this, right? But if you take that same situation and you're actually out actively in traffic and saying, I'm going to pace this group of cars because they act as blockers for people who may be making a left turn. I'm going to start braking and moving this way because there's a car here. So it's like to actually go through the motions, tell what you're thinking as you're actually going through the situation. I think that's valuable. Shannon is saying, I'd say good job introducing motorcycles to the channel and a way to make it work in helmet camera ride. Good video sounds good. Yes, definitely going to do that. I can't do too much motorcycle content right on top of the other because motorcycle content on this channel takes a dive. And not that doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm fine with that. But it damages our standings within the algorithm. So I have to respect the algorithm. So I've got to wait at least a few videos down the road before I do anything else bike rolling. Tommy Boy says oil just jumped to 100. Okay. Let's see. I'm just scrolling up here. Zero's in the house. I didn't see you step in, my brother. Welcome. Fritz Fussell, are you going to do another video with David Vizard? Probably not. Probably not. All right. David's a good guy. I'm not saying anything bad about David. David's a very good person. But I do not believe we'll be doing anything else. I have it's a puppy. This is Amelia. Amelia May. Right? Say hello, Amelia. Look, say hi to YouTube. Right there. Look. Isn't she adorable? She has blue eyes. I don't know if they're gonna stay blue or not. Okay. Whoa. She's and then this is Molly Jane. This is her oldest sister. All three of my border collies are related. They all have the same father. And Molly here is the border collie that they warn you about. If you watch any border collie videos or read border collie books, they'll always tell you the worst case scenario of a border collie and why you should never get one. Molly Jane, come here. Molly Jane, show them the worst case scenario. This is it right here. Constant. She's in constant motion. She never friggin' stops. She's a weapon with frisbees and balls and stuff like that. Okay, Amelia, come. I take him inside. I keep saying it, right? Boy, I've done so many things in my life. I've done a lot of things in my life. And border collies are the best thing I've ever done. And there isn't even a close second. All right, let me scroll back up here. Joker is saying she's already bigger than last week. She's gonna be a big girl. Sweaty guy is saying the Strait of Hormuz is fouled up. Yeah. It's gonna get weird. It's gonna get weird. But if you're prepared for it, weird is okay. Shaniqua, how are you, Shaniqua? I rode to a bike event in Lakeland, Florida with a group I had never rode with before, and one dude rode a wheelie for like 5 miles. We even passed the state police. I've got a group around me that they're stunt riders, and they're all ride Sportsters, but they'll do that. They stand the bike up and just go for distance, round turns. I don't have that kind of internal balance, and I don't have that kind of balls anymore. Not that I was ever able to do stuff like that because I know my limitations. I don't have my balance isn't very good. I get very disoriented. I'm good for minor wheelies for power wheelies. I'm a power wheelie guy. As far as standing it up, that's beyond my pay grade. But yeah, you got to give a lot of credit to the guys who can do it. They make it look easy. Barrows, thank you for the super chat. Couple of bucks for some puppy cookies. Thank you. But they're expensive, bro. Everything having to do with these dogs is freaking expensive. Let's see. John Connor, what kind of tire makes the most smoke? Burnout contest? In my experience, the tires that make the best smoke are the ones that belong to other people. Not necessarily any particular brand or size, but if they belong to other people, you would be amazed at just how much smoke you can get out of the damn things. Fritz Fussell, what do you think of the FXR Harley Davidson? FXRs, Dynas, all of that. I know people are like, oh, you need a big boy bike. Get rid of your skirtster. They're not my cup of tea, man. Here's how I define it. Okay, more or less. Sportster or FXR, which has fewer bolts holding it together? Okay, number one. Sportster or FXR, which one is smaller? Sportster. Sportster or FXR, which one is lighter? Sportster. Okay, see what I'm saying? The Sportster wins in my mind in every single dimension. Like there isn't a single like now, but that doesn't say I'm down on the bikes. People like them, right? But people ride. They have different expectations. They're looking for different things out of their motorcycles. And the Sportster, to me, fits my sensibilities, my tastes to an absolute perfect T. So that's lots of people ask me about that. Let's see. I'm just scrolling back up here. Skull of Fire. Tony, did you really say that you want to afford to win races, let a Mopar guy work on it? Yes, I did. And I stand by that. Let's see. Zero is saying, Shanique, you have some weird ass short videos on your channel, dude. It must be interesting there's got to be something interesting for Zero to pop in there and make a comment on there, what they've got. Fritz, I love the FXR because it has a sports suspension. Yes, but it's longer and it's taller and it's heavier. So I don't want it. Scoop was saying there was a sportster at the park today. I told him to watch UTG and that Tony likes sporties. Well, I'll tell you what, I more than like sporties. I'm actually going into the sporty business, but not in a YouTube way. Okay, so I've been buying parts, parts lots and parts bikes, and kind of like putting them off on the side. So I got a buddy of mine who's actually going to start. Well, I'll talk about it a little bit more maybe next week. But I'm actually in the process right now of getting a sporty business off the ground. It won't interfere with what I do on this channel. It's a local business. I'm not looking to sell stuff across the country or anything like that. I just want a local hands-on business, and it's going to be Sportsters. Let's see, I'm scrolling up here. Scrolling up. Jesse Cardoza, should I try to convert a TPI engine to carburetor? Is it worth the trouble? It depends on what you're looking for. There's no one answer to that question. What are you working with? What's your objective? What's your budget? What are you working towards? What are you working with? I have no idea. So, I mean, if you want to throw that a little more specific, or even better than that, pop in on Wednesday night with Dr. Arch around, and we talk more tech. Sunday is more like a hangout session. We just talk about any shit that pops up. But Wednesday we try to keep it more focused on the technical questions. I'm doing a podcast tomorrow night with. Well, I won't even talk about it yet. When I know that's going to air, I'll let you guys know. But that really, it has to do with business, small business. Get yourself featured on Easy Rider magazine for Sportster. I'm not. I'm definitely not what one would consider to be a biker. I'm a motorcyclist. I ride motorcycles. I don't identify in like any way as a biker, as an easy rider. That culture sort of thing. When I think Sportsters, I'm thinking more, the flat track day. I'm thinking on any Sunday. You know what I mean? I'm not a leather brother. I'm not one of those guys at all. Kevin Smith, Tony, do you all have a big delay getting dog license like here in Ohio? Paid for my 2 months ago. So we don't have that here in Tennessee. You get a dog. You have a dog. They give it a name. That's as far as you really have to go. So I have no idea about licenses. One of many reasons I live in Tennessee. I'm not saying that I moved to Tennessee because they don't have dog licenses, but it's just we have minimal intrusive stuff here in Tennessee. I'm scrolling up here. Okay, this is important here. Clayton's Toolbox. If I put a halo girdle on my 455 engine, will I need to line hone again? Yes, absolutely. When if the girdle is fitted properly, okay. So to fit that kind of girdle, the top of the main caps have to be level, okay, and then there has to be a bit of preload. It's like a 1/1000th crush, okay, when the girdle is in place. So what you need to do is fit the girdle, attain that crush, then line hone it. So yeah, absolutely. Kevin Smith, no dog license in Tennessee. I've never never heard of a dog license here. In New York, they used to have it, but nobody got a freaking dog license. Scoop is saying, I know it would hurt, but a sporty Ridger with narrow tires, solo seat, maybe a Springer front end would be cool. Yes, it would. I do have an affinity for the old school choppers. I don't really. I like them, but I don't like them enough to want one. Does that make any sense? You know, I see choppers all the time, and I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. Right? Some of them have done really, really nice. But as much as I appreciate them, I really have no interest in owning one. Let's see. Cole Britton, thank you for the super chat. Tony, what was the inspiration for voice you do to impersonate people who comment on your videos? I don't I don't know. There's no particular inspiration, but it's just something I automatically do. It's not something I ever gave any thought to. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at myself. So yeah, Cole. I don't really have an inspiration for that. Thank you for the super chat. Scoop, not a chopper, a short wheelbase rigid. Okay, so like a bar hopper. And again, I'm not into style bikes, right? Well, I shouldn't say that. I have one, okay, that's kind of style, right? Kind of, sort of, but really it's just a comfortable around town scooter. It's not really going for a specific look, but the look kind of just evolved on that particular bike. But I don't go, I'm not a style guy. I don't really go for style. I go for function. Bear Rose, I love the Sportsters and I have a special place in my heart for British cycles. But in the 80s, in my opinion, nothing could come close to the Honda Magna V. Oh, absolutely. There's a zillion bikes better than the Sportster. I mean, literally every bike built in the last 50 years is better than a Sportster. I get that, okay? Sportster talks to me, okay? You look at a piece of machinery, and does it talk to you? Does it say, yes, you and me, we belong together? Well, that's how it is with the sports. I recognize it as a turd. I know it's a turd. I maybe some of those turd qualities that make it endearing to me. I don't know exactly, but yeah, I'm Brit bike. I love Brit bikes, and I've had my Brit bike experiences, and they're just not something I ever want to own again. D-Truth, Tony, why did Chrysler discontinue the Cross Ram? How would it do on a 440? They discontinued it because it had outlived its usefulness. When it was introduced in 1960, there were no smaller cars. There were no A, B, or C bodies. Okay, they had the A body, the Valiant, first year there, but there were no intermediates, and there was no plans for anything really hot when it came to the small engines. So everything was, the performance of that era in 1860 when it was introduced was based on full-size heavy cars. And the main objective with that cross ram, okay, with the long ram setup, was to compensate for the torque flight's lack of part throttle kickdown, where the other transmissions, except for the Dynaflow, but other transmissions of the era had part throttle kickdown. The torque flight didn't have part throttle kickdown. So you had to actually slam the thing to the floor to get it to accelerate on the highway. When they went with that long ram setup, you compensated for that. Now you had the smooth, effortless, no kickdown necessary performance for passing gear and shit like that. That's what it was designed for. It was never intended to be a hot rod, melt your face intake manifold. It was supposed to be, like swift, your effortless gut ball torque. That's what it was designed for. By 1965, when the last 64 was the last year. By 65, it had outlived its usefulness. Now the muscle car had been defined as a mid-sized car with a big engine. That long ram setup, even if they tuned it and tweaked it to work at a higher RPM, like the GTOs and fill in the blank of all of the other muscle cars of 1965, even if they had tweaked it to get higher RPM performance out of it, it won't physically fit into a B body. Like literally won't physically fit. You'd have to the bottom of the carburetors. If you try to take a long ram setup and pull it on a B body, the shock absorbers, the front shocks are actually in the plenum. You'd have to completely reconfigure the front of the car to make them fit. So they had outlived their usefulness, and that was it. That was the end of it. But they worked, and they worked well for the purpose that they were designed for. Rocco, was that due to advances in performance torque converters? There were no advances in the mid 1960s. No, you had higher stall factory converters, but as far as like high stall converters, they didn't come about until the very early 1970s. There were a lot of so racers were fabricating their own converters at that period of time. The high-end racers, late 1960s and 1970s. What would happen is on a higher power cars, like they were on automatic transmissions in funny cars up until 1970. And what would happen was after the first run or two, the converter would balloon. And when the converter would balloon, this would raise the stall. So like these things would actually be, they would self-regulate themselves for performance. But proper aftermarket torque converters, like we know today, didn't really come about until the 1970s. Let's see. John Q. Public, what's happening, John Q? Uncle James. Is my brother Normal James in the house? Ah, there he is. You're not a style guy. Are you kidding? Just look in the mirror. You scream style. Yeah, I got that from you, man. I got that from studying you. That's my brother, Normal James. cloaked GT, is it worth nowadays to run a 6-pack setup or dual quads over a single carb? Yes. So it depends what you're after. If it's maximum power, this is one of those things. Okay, this is one of those things where you start off with multiple carbs, a properly tuned 6-pack setup, or a properly tuned dual quad setup will give you better performance than a typical street 4-barrel intake manifold. Now you go to that in between street and race, where most hot rods live. Okay, and yes, a single 4-barrel, well chosen, well tuned, well sorted single 4-barrel will make more power than 6-pack or dual quads. And then you get to the end of the rainbow, and then full race, need to pass all of the atmosphere through the engine. Then you go back to the dual quads as being a superior setup. So it's like steps. You know what I mean? I like dual quads. I've always liked dual quads. I like 6-packs too, but I like dual quads a little bit better. And actually, it's on a street engine. It's because of the way they react. All my dual quad setups that I've ever had on street engines, I always use a staged throttle linkage. So you'll get about a quarter throttle on the primaries of the rear carburetor, and it drives just like a normal car, just like a 2-barrel carburetor engine. Okay, but when you just ease into the gas a little bit, you go to let's say a little bit past quarter throttle, where you start to crack open the front carburetor. That rush and the sound that goes with it really adds so much character to the car that you're driving. Let's see. D-Truth, Tony, if the long arm was intended for torque, why are turn rims more for horsepower? Runner length. Okay, so the tunnel rim is more about plenum. It's more about massive plenum than it is about, don't get me wrong, the tuning through runner length is an important aspect. But the key feature of a tunnel rim is plenum. It has tons of plenum. So it has maximum plenum, okay? Torque and the torque characteristics of an engine are going to be, and this is that whole sonic tuning thing. The torque characteristic, or the power producing characteristic of the engine, is going to be based on runner length. The longer the runner, the lower the RPM that it tunes. So because those long rims were supposed to work at highway speed, 2,500 to 4,500 RPM or thereabouts, that's why they're so long. Because at that speed, that's how long it takes for that sonic pulse to run from the valve to the plenum and back to the valve again, just in time for the intake valve to be opening and pushing the mixture in. When you raise the RPM, it goes out of sync. You see what I'm saying? It goes out of sync. And now you need a shorter, because it takes less time between cycles, now you need a shorter runner to accomplish that same thing. And so that's why the long ram is for low RPM and the tunnel ram is for high RPM. Does that make sense? Let's see. I'm scrolling up. Zero is talking about adding 188 intake valves. So I guess you're talking about 318s. Yes, Zero knows his stuff. I'm just scrolling back up here. Normal James can't grow a beard. I got all the testosterone, you know that. Scoop is saying do a silver report. I got to take a look. I was expecting it to drop it open. Let's take a look. Hang on now. I'm seeing a trip down to the the high 70s again. Come on. I'm expecting a trip back down to 74, 75. It's building a nice base. It's building a very nice base. But definitely I'm expecting down. And we have, yeah, okay. Gold is $5,043.60. It's down 106.70 or 2.07%. Silver is currently down $3.10 to 81.05. That's a loss of 3.68%. And it's getting close to the buying zone. I would say if you guys are waiting to buy, I wouldn't let it drop too far below. Like, don't count on it heading down below, let's say 78 for any meaningful amount of time. But as soon as you see it down there in the 79, if you can buy it 78 like that, okay, guys, I would jump on it. I don't see it likely going much lower or staying low for any amount of time. I'm just scrolling back up here. Dean Stevenson, how are you doing, brother? Warghost, yo, what's up? Joined late. World's crazy right now, but still, we're still crazier for paying Mopar tax. Dude, I never paid Mopar tax. In my mind, none of these cars are worth more than $300 or $400. Period. In the end, I don't care what it is. Because I came up in the 70s when these things were worthless. Nobody wanted them. Nobody cared about them. They were piled up in the junkyards. People would just take the plates off of them on the side of the road and leave them. In my mind, it's still that, and it will always be that. So I never pay Mopar tax. I wait until like, you know, the things hit rock bottom, and then I lowball, and yeah, I get everything cheap. Let's see. Tony Giorgi. Hey T, the wife has a 2018 Ford Explorer 3.5, which calls for 5W20. Thinking of changing to a 5W30, or should I just go with Ford recommend? The problem with changing viscosities is that all of these things have active camshaft timing. And that active camshaft timing depends on oil pressure, oil volume, oil flow, oil pressure, oil viscosity. So when you change oil, you're also going to change somewhat the characteristics of the cam timing. So you might be able to get away with that on that engine, or you might not be able to get away with it. I don't know, because they're all a little bit different. That's something you want to maybe go to a Ford Explorer forum and ask there. But that does make a difference. The weight of the oil does make a difference in how the hydraulic cam gears react. Happy daylight savings time. Yes, happy daylight. It's spring ahead, fall behind, right? Let's see. Scoop, do you pay taxes when you buy and sell metals? So in states that have declared gold and silver to be legal tender, no, because you don't tax money, right? It's a transfer, and it's not a purchase. So in Tennessee, gold and silver are both considered to be money, so there are no taxes due on it. That would be like changing changing a dollar bill for 4 quarters. Like a tax on that transaction would be the same as taxing gold or silver. Steve Carbrati. Tony, I have a 79 Camaro Berlinetta, was mom's car. Put an 84 5-liter HO, is 220 degrees duration. Too much from power brakes, AC. No, you should be fine. Yeah, I mean, there's always only one way to find out, but you should be okay. Joker. Tony, would you have any insight on how these dealers acquire these cars that they ask insane amounts of money for? Classic Mopars included, and I'm talking about these high-profile specialty dealers. Well, the thing with the way they go about it is they're all lying scumbags, and they really don't care. They have no ethics. They don't care about anything except the money they can stuff in their pocket. The level of greed is just off the chain when you get into the higher echelons of any part of the automotive business, any part of the aftermarket. So yes, they're sociopathic, greedy beings that I have no dealings with. Calcar Steve, Reverend Tony, I'm happy to report I did not crash my bike because I don't have a bike. Well, see, that's good, and you probably won't crash tomorrow either. That's good planning. Let's see. I'm just scrolling here, guys. HS, is the low block 400 the best big block? Perhaps stroker. Is the 230 casting that much better? Okay, so here's what you need to know about that. The 400 is the biggest bore of all big block Chryslers, and based on the minimum specs that you can go 60 over based on the stock casting, providing nothing has been done, no significant core shift or anything like that. So the 400 offers the biggest potential bore out of all of the big block Chryslers. I like the low deck short run engines. That's just me. That's my taste. So in my opinion, yes, the 400 and the 383, both, I love both of them, but the 400 is generally thought of as the best of the bunch. The 230 casting is the cold weather block. So the weak link on any big block Chrysler, including 426 Hemis, is the area between the top of the main saddle and the bottom of the cam journal. And they crack right there alongside the bolt boss, okay? And then the crack goes from so using the oil hole of the main saddle as as a clock, let's say, they call that 12 o'clock. The crack will start either at 10:30 or 1:30, okay, using a clock, and it'll crack up into that hollow area, and then over the bolt boss, and then up the cylinder wall, okay? And that's all big block cracks. So that's their failure point. So the 230 block, also known as the cold weather block, doesn't have that hollow space between the cam and the. Now you wonder why didn't they do that when they were building the Hemis and everything else? Why did it take the 400, the cold weather block, to make a difference? So if you're building for ultimate, okay. Yes, the 230 is the strongest of all big block Chryslers, like beyond anything. But if you're only dealing with, like, let's say a 500 or 600 horsepower combination, that type of thing, 700 horsepower, it's overkill. You don't need it. If you're dealing with 2,000 horsepower, then yes, that's the block that will hold that horsepower. Territory, Tony, do you play the lotto after score on Marketplace? I just picked up a Land Rover LR3, the equivalent to the Chrysler minivan of LR for a song. Do I play the lotto? No, I'm not a gambler. I just don't get anything out of gambling. I like to gamble by investing in things and flipping and shit like that. But yeah, there's always great deals on Marketplace. Just like it used to be on Craigslist, and before that, it was the One Ed Press. Oh, there were so many different places you can get great deals on. Now everything revolves around Marketplace. Marketplace, though, tends to bring out more flakes. At least what I found. Craigslist, there were fewer flakes. Maybe it was the time that Craigslist was popular, that because for years, every car guy's life revolved around Craigslist. And it seemed that Craigslist deals went just so much smoother, and the people you were dealing with were that much more stable. Where Marketplace is it's crazy. Okay, Marketplace is a little bit crazy. A lot of flakes, a lot of people misrepresenting things. Yeah, I recently bought a bike. Okay, that I go and I buy this thing, and the guy tells me, oh yeah, we had it running on ether, right? Ran fine. You know what I mean? But the fuel system was clogged up. Okay. So I took his word for it. Okay, you had it running on ether. Well, I get it back to the shop, and I find that there's cobwebs and everything in the carb throat. Okay. And it had no spark. Right. When this bike got parked, it got parked because the ignition module went bad. So it never ran on ether, it never ran on anything. But he said it because, this makes it sound like it, it's a good deal. So yeah, and that literally just happened to me. Let's see. Cop Car Steve is saying, I find Craigslist is just for dealers now. Marketplace is good, but you got to move on things quick. It was the same thing with Craigslist. And yeah, Craigslist is all dealers now. It's all pros. Is this still available? I know. I try not to click on that, but somehow or another, I always end up hitting that, and I don't mean to. You know what I mean? Like, you want to delete, is it available, and put your own message in there. But somehow or another, most of the time, I end up slipping that through, and I feel like such a dick. Oh, I didn't mean to say that. Mike Boger, Tony, what heads would you run on a 426 low deck stroker, and what mods would you do to them? Different heads, there were different applications call for different cylinder heads. I can't give you a recommendation on that. You need to decide what you're trying to get out of that engine, what your goals are, and then other people have already done the homework for you. Do some research. You need to know what you want out of this package, specifically, every aspect of it. And then based on that, you're going to pick the cylinder heads, you're going to pick the cam, you're going to pick the intake manifold, you're going to pick the carburetor, and you're going to tune ignition wise to what your ultimate goals are. So if I just threw a cylinder head number out at you, it means nothing, because you have your own expectations of what you want with that car. And everything fits into that equation. Not only the use of the car, but the weight of the car, the gearing of the car, the types of tire that you're using. All of these things add up. So you need to do your homework. Don't just have some ding dong like me about a random recommendation on the cylinder head. Let's see. Eric Smith, what's happening, Eric? My son's got a Cordova 360 with the electronic carb. It's not an electronic carb. It's a feedback carburetor, but it's not controlled by the. So is it possible to make it run from a vacuum that can be made to run off of vacuum? Where would you pull the vacuum? Okay, so you have a lean burn. Okay, you've got a 360 with a lean burn. So what you want to do is you want to change the distributor. Take the lean burn off of there, lose it. Okay, the carburetor you have should work. Okay, the 360 is going to be the Harley 2-barrel, big Harley 2-barrel. You need to drop a distributor in that's a normal electronic distributor, right? So the distributor came in that engine, has no mechanical advance and has no vacuum advance. The vacuum advance is built into the lean burn computer. So take the lean burn computer, just take it off and throw it away. Okay. Then get a normal small block Mopar electronic distributor with mechanical and vacuum advance, drop that in and run, find a ported vacuum. Okay. So ported vacuum would be where when the engine is idling, you won't feel any suction on the vacuum port. You'll only feel it when you open the throttle, you'll feel vacuum. That's ported vacuum. So you want to find a ported vacuum source and plumb that to your vacuum advance. And then just motor on down the road. Everything will be fine. That's all there is to it. Scrolling back up. Dean Stevenson, I find the best Facebook buddies aren't in the same country as me. That's the biggest problem with social networking. With any of these things, going all the way back to like, what was it, MySpace, Facebook, all of these things. The biggest problem is the people you meet and the people you communicate with are nowhere near your immediate area. And that is what's destroyed society. That's why nobody talks to anybody. That's why nobody does anything. That's why bars are closing, restaurants are closing. There's no common areas anymore, that people congregate at. It's all done because of social media and the fact that nobody you're connecting with or you're talking with is anywhere within your range. Welcome to the era we're in, right? It's very bad. Let's see. Clatra, are the new two-piece fuel pump eccentric really that bad? I can't find a one-piece for my 390. I don't know anything about them. I don't know anything about them. Scott, do you? A lot of really dishonest people these days trying to make a quick buck, and social media has made it worse. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't really, really bad out there. And I'd really be lying if I said I didn't think it was going to get much, much worse before it gets better. The time for action is now. I mean, seriously. And by action, I mean getting grounded with good people and getting ready to ride out some crazy shit, because a lot of really dishonest people out there. It's bad. Mr. Dodge is saying, Tony, it's on now. I know. Thunder Falcon, I have something hanging from my mustache. What is that? Oh, it's orange juice and gray. Huh. Thank you. And Barracuda is saying the Dead Dodge Garage is live. Yeah, so if you get sick of hanging out over here, head over to Jamie's. Let's see. I'm just scrolling back up. Beware. Yeah, Connor. Yeah, beware of anybody who wants Zelly payments. Yeah, there's all sorts of different scams like that. I trust PayPal. You know, I don't like PayPal, but I trust PayPal. And the rest of it, all of these different, I have no deal. I don't deal with them. Barracuda, did you ever meet Mopar drag racer Bob Lambeck? I did. I have not. No. Scarlet Fire, and people that post, if you ask, is it still available? I will not respond. I know. People are so freaking obnoxious. I know. Boy plunger. Well, that doesn't sound good, but I mean, it probably doesn't mean anything. All right. Tony, would you discuss dealers locking out backyard mechanics, making repair impossible? Boy plunger. Oh, that's a weird name, bro. That's a weird name, I got to tell you. Would you discuss dealers locking out backyard mechanics, making repair impossible for owners and killing the repair service industry? It's already done. It's done. I've talked about this in the past. The official repair industry, okay, is aftermarket repair, so it's not dealer related. It has a very finite lifespan ahead of it. Because of the technology that's been built into these cars over the last 5 years, really, all of the proprietary shit that's in there now, and it's only gotten worse. No, the days of running a general repair shop are limited. Backyard mechanics may actually have a shot, because a backyard mechanic is going to work on a smaller volume of vehicles. So if it takes them 3 days to work through a problem, they'll fight through it and they'll get it done. But if you're trying to run a business, a small business, and every single thing you work on is that way, no. The official general repair business has a finite lifespan ahead of it. Specialty shops can do really good in the future. Let's see. Didi Biffy, I'm going to replace the 2 barrel on my 1965 383 to a 4 barrel. What intake and F barrel 4 barrel combo would you use? I'm assuming you just want a driver with a 4 barrel, and if that's the case, an Edelbrock Performer and a 600 Edelbrock. And I don't get paid anything from Edelbrock. They overcharge for everything. Some people are like, he likes Edelbrock. They must give him stuff. I hate Edelbrock. I hate the company. I hate everybody associated with their thieves, absolute freaking thieves. There's no way to justify the prices that they get for things. So I had to say that to get that out of the way, all right, because they recommend things. So I would find a used Edelbrock Performer intake manifold online someplace, and I would find a used Edelbrock 600 and throw a quick rebuild kit on it, and get a rebuild kit from offline someplace. Even the cheapest ones will get the job done. The cheapest Chinese rebuild kits for those carburetors will work just fine, and that's what I would use. Let's see. Michael DeSantis, remember that video on small block Mopar heads and their exhaust port flow? Great video. Did that mean 340 heads too? Great detective work. I'm not sure what you're talking about, man. I've done so many freaking videos. I don't remember one. Is that the one where I took the map gas torch and I put it into the combustion chamber and to show the way it flows to the roof? Well, yes, that would include the 340 head, any head of that architecture. So here's the thing with the small block Mopar heads, because they're an adaptation to the poly block, they have a defect in their design that works to their favor. Okay, so if you look at, let's say, a typical small block Chevy head or a small block Mopar head, okay, their bottom row of cylinder head bolts makes room for the ports. Okay, but because the small block Mopar, including the 340, was an adaptation to the poly head block and it has a different head bolt pattern, they had to raise the ports in order to get the head bolts to work. So because they had to like take that shortcut to make the ports fit with the head bolt pattern, they actually made a very superior exhaust port where you look straight down the port and then there's the whole back face of the valve. So it was a happy accident that made the small block Mopar head what it is. And Fubar once again put up a link to my merch. Thank you, Fubar. So if you want to buy any of the stuff and support the UTG Nation, then yes, that's where you get the stuff. Thank you so much. Oscar Gonzalez, I'm not done. Have you tried the McDonald's Big Arch Burger? Did you see the video of the CEO like looking at that thing like no, I have no desire. If I never eat another McDonald's thing again for the rest of my life, it'll be all too soon. The only way I can ever see me eating McDonald's is like in an emergency situation in the middle of friggin' nowhere where I have no other options and I'm just dying to eat. I may eat some McDonald's, but sorry, man, no. Let's see, I'm scrolling back up. Benzo, Edelbrock does suck as a company. I think they all suck. I hate the industry. I tell them all to their faces, I hate you. You're thieves. Edelbrock, Harley, all of these companies, okay, they sell products. Their main line of products, the carburetors and intake manifolds and stuff like that, 100% of the R&D of these products was done 50 and 60 years ago. All right, all they're doing is just copying, reintroducing the same things they're already designed, and all of the tooling was done for, and all the, like I said, the research and development was all done before most of the people watching this were even born. But yet they charge stupid amounts of money for this stuff. A Harley carburetor, based on what's already been worked out, right? So in other words, a Harley carburetor should not cost, a brand new one should not cost you more than $150. $200 maybe tops. Okay, I could see that. An Edelbrock carburetor, so much simpler. A brand new Edelbrock carburetor should cost you $60, $70 max, based on the simplicity of the casting and the number of parts that are in there, and the fact that all of the R&D was done eons ago. But no, they get obscene, ridiculous numbers. There's somebody making way too much money in these companies, and I consider it to be out and out thievery. So that's why I don't deal with any of these companies. I don't take anything from them. I don't acknowledge. I just don't want to deal with them. I don't want to deal with that whole freaking world. Scumbags. They're scumbags. Am I wrong? Do you guys think I'm wrong? To the total septic, UTG stickers on a septic truck cut a 1/10 of a second off the 24-second quarter mile time. See, that's not bad, man. That's not bad. So yes, we do have the stickers. The Fubar put up the link to our shirts and hats and stuff, and there are stickers in there too, so that you can actually represent UTG. And 100% of proceeds from that go towards. I'm always paying for stuff. Always paying for stuff. So yes, that helps. Thank you. I'm scrolling back up. Yeah, I mean, do you guys think I'm wrong about that? Is Otterbox still owned by the daughter of the founder? I don't think so. She may be on the board someplace. Scott, there's no reason this shit should cost as much. I'm a millennial with a kid and wife. I'm not paying thousands for crap they're casting in China, installing one bolt and calling it made in the USA. Yes, I know, exactly. Boy plunger. There's a name again. There's a name again. Oh, God. Change that name. Please change that name. Tony, what do you think of the old Yamaha VMAX? Very cool bags. Very cool bags. I don't own one. I've never owned one. I've ridden a couple of them, but yeah, no, they're awesome. They sound like nothing else. Michael DeSantis, didn't AR Cudas come with Edelbrock intake sprayed orange? Yes, both the big block and the small block Mopar six packs were cast by Edelbrock in 1969, and then the small block in 1970. Chrysler copied the Edelbrock manifold in 1970 in cast iron for the 440. So the 1970 346 pack is an Edelbrock intake manifold, and the 1970 440 intake is a cast iron replica of the Edelbrock six pack setup. And all of that is taken from the Chevy, the 427 435. And all of that is taken from the 406 Ford, the truck. So there's all kinds of evolution involved there.